Sir,
Hello,
your name, please.
Damon Middleton.
What time is your matter scheduled?
It was at 9:10, but I had a hard time connecting. I don't have any reception.
Mr. Middleton, part of the problem is that you're supposed to be here in person.
What?
Oh, no, you're on the
I
Zoom
was told I
docket.
was supposed to be
Oh,
in the Zoom
no,
meeting.
Mr. Middleton, nope, I see it. You're supposed to be on the Zoom docket at 9:10. It's 9:40. The Van Buren prosecutor is still here. Let's get you connected with Ms. Manarino, okay? Good morning. Good morning, sir, with the blue shirt, your name, please.
Yes, it's Corey Dreon, Dreon.
Judge, he's for Judge Green.
Mr. Dreon, did you hear that?
I'm sorry, no, I didn't hear you. What was it?
You're in the wrong.
You're in the wrong
courtroom.
courtroom. You're supposed to be with Judge Green.
That's what I thought. My thing said courtroom 4, but then the thing said Judge Green.
You're
was
okay.
right.
You're just in the, that's okay. Do you need the Zoom number?
Yeah, please.
Do you have paper and pencil?
No, give me just 1 second.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
933-057-8570.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
You too, thank you.
Ms. Manarino, did you speak to Mr. Middleton?
Yes, I just sent Carol a message. We're just asking to have it set for an informal hearing.
I'm sorry, did you just say set it for a formal hearing?
Informal, Your Honor.
Informal hearing, okay. Do you give that date or who gives that date? Carol gives that date? Okay.
Yep, we'll bail out a notice once we have it scheduled.
Thank you. Mr. Middleton, did you hear that?
Yes, I heard you. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Can you repeat it one more time, please?
We're going to
Your case
mail
will be
you a
set
notice.
for informal,
Go ahead, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
We will mail out a notice once we have that new date set for an informal hearing.
Okay.
Okay? But you're all set for today.
Okay, I appreciate it. So I'll be able to fight that red light ticket.
Yes, you'll be set for a hearing with the magistrate and the officer.
Okay, and it'll be
Okay.
sent through mail or?
Yes, you will receive a notice at your home address.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mhm. Mhm. Mm-mm. Exactly. It never has. What do you think? That's a response. What do you think? That's what I always, I'm not getting involved in that. Are you insane? You tell me. $9:47. Is this? I don't know. I don't know. Mhm. Yeah. 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 You? Well, I say that, but I don't know if that's true. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything is how it should be. There's an attorney from the 9/10 docket who somebody logged on for him and said he'll be available in 20 minutes. They did that like 10 minutes ago. So if I hadn't let him in, what would happen?
So, I don't want to talk about this because it's very upsetting.
Mr. Kroger on the hunt.
Well, I guess it's so- I was really excited. You should, because no. We have miracles. They're supposed to keep the. Yeah, you're gonna laugh at this. But we don't care that much. I mean, we care a little bit, but not a whole lot. No, that's not what I feel like it is. I had fun with some of these houses and because I don't want to.
Okay. So, yeah. So the miracles are supposed to keep you awake, right? But you're chilling. Right in the middle.
It looks like a little bunny.
It is a little one. That's the one they found when they did the landscape. I think it's one of the ones from the landscaping. But then, that's on the south side. On the north side is this, are these 2 4x4s. One of them is full of sunflowers, the other one's full of gladiolus. And so he has this fence. So these things are off the ground, but then he has like this 2 foot high chicken wire, plastic chicken wire fence kind of thing around it. He comes there the other day. He said the little one has its paws up on the rails and is trying to get under the fence, but the fence is down on the ground. And he's like, he's irritated because, so he puts the sunflowers out and doesn't cover them up right away. And so they had gotten about 8 inches tall, and over the span of 2 days, something went in there and ate them all down to the dirt.
So he had to plan a whole second round. He planned a whole second round of sunflowers. Yes. It was nothing left. Because it was just the green part. It was just, they ate them to the ground. They didn't eat the
Are
grass.
they bunnies?
We think so.
So.
Living their best lives.
Oh, was it
years.
upset?
Yeah. For years, they eat the lilies, and the lilies only bloom for a couple weeks, but there's this bright yellow and bright peach. And they used to decimate them, but now that, I mean, it's been, they've gotten some flowers before they ate the lavender, they eat everything. And we don't I don't care. I think it's hilarious that he gets it, you know. That's why he set up a trail camp originally years ago, because he wanted to know what it was that was eating.
It's a funny.
He thought it was deer scat, but that was rabbit scat. I mean, and since fully had this like abundance, overabundance, they're not scared. We walk out there and they don't.
It'll be like, eating.
They lay in our neighbor's yard, like fully luxury eating in the yard, like stretched out, 3 of them. There's 2 bigger ones and a younger one.
Because they can get really long. can't
They stretch out and lay in her clover, like when it's time for her to cut the grass. They're out there living their absolute best lives.
Is a pre-trial for today? Could we have a finished trial today?
Absolutely.
He's here and he's here and the witness is there.
If that's what he wants.
Okay. He needs my building, so I just wanted to make sure that, just so I can let the witness know that. Because I think the last time, it was the last witness was here, now the wife is here. So they don't have to all be involved. Are we, can we do that one now?
If he,
Want to wait or how do you want to do it?
I'll inquire of him. If he's ready to proceed, we're ready. We're here. There's
Okay.
nothing else coming in.
Okay.
Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. On who? I have the file. Do you need it?
I just went, let's go get it. Man, we didn't have
Oh, it's actually 3 bucks.
4.
it. Angela, bring it in.
I have the files. That's what I'm saying. There's multiples.
Oh.
Mr. Miller. How are you, sir? I'm doing well, thank you. Mr. Sackler?
Good morning, yes.
Good morning, sir. I'll send you in with Mr. Greco. He is the Romulus prosecutor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. These are,
Go on. Well, I'm going to.
I just put him in your meeting room, Mr. Greco. We're starting something in the actual courtroom. These are 23VB00543, A, B, and C, and then 23VB02248OM. These are all Van Buren Township versus Stephen Miller. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Angela Manarino on behalf of the people.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, you may be seated. These were, there's a arraignment pretrial scheduled in the 23VB02248OM case that's disturbing the peace. It was scheduled for arraignment pretrial. Ms. Manarino came and inquired as to this court's procedure, indicating that you wanted to have the trial today.
I said if we could address it and go ahead and enter the plea not guilty for, then yes.
Okay, well, there's two different things. This is the first appearance in this matter, and it would be the time that you said not guilty. And then usually the procedure is that the court will set bond in this matter, and it would be a personal bond of 1,000. Personal, you don't need to post any money. Typically thereafter, the parties exchange discovery, and then we schedule another date for you to come back for trial.
Okay, then we can go that route where I can speak with her about the matter.
Absolutely.
And yes, let's go that route.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to stop, sorry.
That's okay. And I know we had this discussion where you were here back at the beginning of the year that I'm married to an elected official in Van Buren Township. I make that disclosure as Van Buren Township is the issuing agency. My husband's not involved in the ordinance or public safety department, but I always advise people of it on the record because I'm required to. And you have the right to say, I don't feel comfortable proceeding with you, and the case would be rescheduled with another judge, or you would say you're okay to proceed with me and we'll proceed on the cases. So how do you wish to proceed this morning, Mr. Miller?
We are good to proceed. I've been in front of you before, so it makes sense to be here.
And the other thing, sir, is that there are three, the A, B, and C files are ordinance matters. Those are technical violations. They're scheduled this morning. Did you intend to speak to Ms. Manarino about those matters as well? These are show cause matters.
We just did, and this is where we came with it.
Trial on the technical violation matters.
Yes, Your Honor. We had filed the motion on the case, which we served on Mr. Miller, and so our intention is to go forward with a hearing on these.
But as for the disturbing the peace,
As it relates to the disturbing the peace, it will indicate that there's not an offer on that matter. If that's something Mr. Miller wants to discuss, I do have the witness here. If he wants to go forward with the trial, it's up to Mr. Miller how he wants to handle it. But if he does want to set it for a pretrial, we can go that route.
Yeah, I would like to discuss it further.
Okay.
Try to avoid trial if possible.
but if you're ready to proceed on trial on the ordinance civil infraction matters,
Yes, Your Honor.
okay. So Mr. Miller, will put the misdemeanor file on the side. I've already set your bond at 1,000 personal. You don't need to post any money. Then you can conduct the pretrial with Ms. Manarino. But are you ready to proceed for the hearings in the civil infractions? The technical violations from February 2023. Okay. You have all necessary documents and witnesses with you today.
I have a comment. Sorry.
You have all necessary documents and witnesses. You need everything you need to present whatever defense you intend to present.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Manarino, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any opening statement, ma'am?
Your Honor, I would just indicate, yes, I would indicate that this is scheduled today pursuant to our motion for order to show cause. As the testimony will show, there are a number of vehicles on Mr. Miller's property that are unlicensed, unregistered, and or inoperable. This has been the condition for a number of months on this property. The condition of the vehicles is in violation of the township ordinance. And at the conclusion of the hearing, we are going to ask the court to enter an order for cleanup of the property to continue the removal of the vehicles that remain on the property.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, any opening statement, not your testimony just yet, but opening statement?
What's his last name?
Yeah, I don't feel that these violations that fully imply to me on a specific case to my property, my parcel, in the spirit of the law, rather than just a generic and how the law was written.
Okay. Anything else?
No, yeah.
Ms. Manarino, your first witness.
Your Honor, before I call my first witness, I would just ask, I know Mr. Miller has someone with him today. I don't know if she intends to testify. If she does, I would ask that she be sequestered.
Ma'am, do you intend to provide testimony this morning? Thank you.
Your Honor, the people call Alicia Walker.
Tim, do you have something for me? Ms. Walker? Good morning. Would you state your first and last name and then spell them both for the record?
Yes, Alicia Walker, ALECIA WALKER.
Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you much. Come have a seat in this black chair that's closest to me, please. My secretary is recording your, yes, ma'am, is recording your testimony. If she's unable to hear you, I'll ask you to raise your voice or keep your voice up, okay?
Ms. Walker, are you familiar with the property at 7905 Mida Drive?
Yes,
How is it that you're familiar with that property?
it's directly next to me technically because I'm on the same drive. And I share the road coming in, so it's immediately to my right if I look out my front door.
So that property is next door to your residence?
Yeah.
And how long have you lived on Mida Drive?
Almost 30, 29 years plus, almost 30 years.
And are you familiar with the individual or individuals who live at 7905 Mida Drive?
I don't personally know them. I know who they are.
So you've seen these neighbors before, you just
Correct.
haven't interacted with them?
Yeah, yes.
Do you see anyone who lives at 7905 Mida Drive present in the courtroom this morning?
Yes.
And who do you see?
Steve Miller.
And during the, well, let me ask you this. Do you know how long Mr. Miller has lived at that residence on 7905 Mida Drive?
Can I like run through this for a second?
And your best, I mean, if your
I'm gonna say
approximation,
about 2008 or 9.
okay,
Like in the winter, actually, like either like December or January.
so the end of 2008, beginning of 2009.
08 or 9, I believe.
And during 2022 or 2023, have you observed any vehicles on Mr. Miller's property?
Yes, many.
What specifically have you observed as it relates to vehicles on his property?
It's always someone working on it. That's one. They're parked in a variety of places. At this time of year, it's not as annoying or aggravating to see so many, but in the winter, it's real obvious that there's unbelievable numbers of vehicles there. And most of them were being brought in at odd hours. So I know they went there. And one, probably a week ago, another one went down on a trailer.
When you say unbelievable amounts of vehicles, can you tell the court how many vehicles you're seeing on the property?
Probably no, there was no less than 30 probably at that time.
You indicated that there's some work being done on the vehicles. Are the vehicles that you're seeing in various states of disrepair when they're
Yes.
coming in?
Yes.
And then what type of work is being done on the vehicles?
I would hear a lot of banging, clanging, power drill, like air guns. And also I don't know exactly what it was, but during the night, there's like a compressor or something going constantly.
Is that something that you're able to hear from your property?
Yes.
Is it something that's
I mean,
disturbing
It's
to
just
you?
something I couldn't determine what it was, but that's what it sounds like. I mean, we have a compressor in the garage, so I know I've heard them stop and start, you know.
The date that you heard the compressor from Mr. Miller's property, approximately how long did you hear that sound?
I heard it this morning,
Okay.
probably 6 o'clock. I heard it, I think, this morning.
Was today the only occasion that you've heard that compressor?
I'm sorry?
Was today the only time you've heard that compressor?
No, numerous times. And it's during the night sometimes,
What time of the night are you hearing it?
all night, like any hour, 3
Okay.
o'clock, 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
And you indicated that there's vehicles coming and going from the property at what I believe you referred to as odd hours. Can you explain what time of day that is?
Yeah, sometimes it would be during the day and visible, like you can actually see it, but then I would have lights out in the street of one unloading, and it would be like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, unloading in front of my house. My dogs, I have dogs, and they're barking. They don't bother anything unless it's long, like the time there is long, so it's like at that time of morning, I'm trying to sleep. And my dogs are losing it. They broke my screen twice because of how long someone's out yelling and banging out in front of my house.
How, have you seen how the vehicles are being transported to the property? And I guess I'm asking, are they driving in themselves or is there something else bringing them in?
I don't know if any of them are driving in, but there have been semis with flatbeds. There have been mowing down our road. I've seen them on other trailers just behind pickup trucks, not semi. Like this is the last one I just saw probably last week. It might have been last week. It was a pickup truck on the back of a trailer on connected to Steve's truck.
It might have drive where you live, that's a residential area.
Yes, yeah, R1D.
In the last, well, I guess let me ask you this, the activity with the vehicles coming and going, how frequently is that happening?
Now, it's not as often. It was like 3 years, probably all the time. Like 3 or 4 times a week, something would come or leave, come or leave.
And
During the night, during the day, depends.
how often was that 3 to 4 times a week activity going? You had mentioned 3 years ago, was that something that was continuing
I
until
would
recently?
Might have been 21 and 22 were probably the most activity. And this year hasn't been as active, but the noise is, it's still there. They still come. It's not 3 times a week, you know, like it was. But this has been, I have had to call the township. I can't even tell you how many times I've called the township because somebody will park the semi out in the street, right in front of my house, right next to a fire hydrant, and put another vehicle right in front of the end of my driveway. It's like, I'd like to leave at some point.
When that activity is going on, how long is that vehicle parked in the street?
I'm sorry?
When that activity is going on, of the blocking of the driveway and the street, how long is that vehicle there, the semi or whatever it is?
It could go like sometimes for hours because they're waiting on something or something's not being done to be able to load. And, you know, I can hear the chains and the banging and it's like, so it depends. There's been some for an hour. There's been some for 15, 20 minutes. It just depends. But it's been always right in front of my house. And then it got to where that no longer was right in front of my house. It started being at the end of our road. And they'd unload across Ecor Service Drive and drag them down with cables or whatever and bring them in, pulled behind something.
And when did that
And it's bam,
start?
bam, 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 because it's a dirt road. It's like the whole time.
When did it start, that they started unloading the vehicles down by the service drive?
That would have been during probably last year,
Okay, and is that
22.
still activity that's continuing now?
Now okay. I saw for myself that there is one person driving a truck. And I'm, in my recollection, a lady was driving Steve's truck and Steve was in a truck being towed behind it. And they pulled over so we could go by and I noticed that our other neighbor in a little red car was behind it. And they pulled right out in the middle of the road and would have let him just go home. He got stuck behind them down the road.
And when did that occur?
I don't know if it was the fall. 22. But it would be like block them, like you couldn't even just go home.
I have no further questions for Ms. Walker.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, before you cross-examine Ms. Walker, Mr. Sampson, would you come up to this podium for me, please? This is 23RP023460M, City of Romulus versus Luke Sampson. State your name for me, sir.
Luke Thomas Sampson?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear a firm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Take the gum out of your mouth, please. Thank you. You can put it back in. We're done. This will be quick. You've had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Greco, the prosecutor for the City of Romulus.
Yes.
And it's your agreement and understanding that you will tender a plea of responsible to the added count of double parking with the condition that the premises be cleaned up within 14 days and pay a fine of $180 and the misdemeanor will be dismissed.
Yes.
And that's how you wish to proceed.
Yes.
Thank you. The court will dismiss the misdemeanor, enter a plea of responsible to double parking, assess a fine of $180 and allow 14 days to clean the premises. Are you able to pay that before you leave the building today?
Yes.
The file will be downstairs shortly. You also owe $276 on another unrelated matter.
It'll be
If
paid
you-
today.
I'm sorry?
It'll be paid today.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Sampson? I'm gonna hand the officer your file. He can walk it downstairs. Thank you. We're back on the record in the case that ends 543 A, B, and C. Mr. Miller, did you have any questions for Ms. Walker?
Yes, I did. I was unclear. You live on Chuck's side of the road or my side of the road?
I live on Chuck's side of the road.
On Chuck's side of the road.
Who is Chuck?
The, one of the other
But
complainants,
they're
Mr.
both
Mrs.
to my
Halsted.
right.
I'm trying to figure out where, east or west? You said the side of the road.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You may see. Actually,
What do you need?
I was just gonna highlight. Really.
Our road was a dead end.
I know.
And when they built the houses, they built the one that Steve lives at first, and that's on the east side of the dead end. And Halstead's on the west side of the dead end. So he's not directly my neighbor, but it is my neighbor on my right.
The biggest property here.
This.
All this is my residence. This is Mr. Halstead's. And this is, I'm sorry, what was that? Alicia, I forgot her last name.
Walker.
Miss Walker, I'm sorry, is Miss Walker's residence.
Is
in
this
here.
square?
The smaller one.
So what is Chuck? What are you talking about with
This
Chuck?
one, Mr. Halsted is.
Mr.
I'm on the same
Halsted.
side. I was just trying to figure out on Mida Drive.
On the
here.
west side, okay.
Correct, they're on the west. That was. I was just trying to make
Can I-
sure.
Can I verify this?
No, ma'am, you're not gonna get up from where you are.
Yeah, I can show her. You're gonna show her.
Miss Manarino, my apologies for going a little bit off track with this. I just wanted to be clear on where he's talking about.
My residence,
Mhm.
Mr. Halsted, Miss Walker.
Okay.
Correct.
I don't
Okay.
like it.
I am at the very end, what used to be the very end.
Your residence, Mr. Halsted. And then I'll-
You can go back to the podium, please.
I strongly disagree with blocking your driveway.
Questions?
Okay.
You'll get a chance to testify, but right now, do you have questions for Ms. Walker?
You state that your driveway was blocked for multiple hours and that you couldn't leave. Should you want to leave? I was unaware of your situation. And did you ask them to move, or did you state anything that they were blocking or leaving? Because I'm unaware that this took place. And you said that this was a long time ago. Is this correct? And that it's not?
Are you asking me a question?
Yes.
Okay, so
Did you
the
ask,
question is, did it happen?
did they?
And did I ask?
They
them
blocked
about
your
it?
driveway for 2 hours.
Okay. It was not a long time ago. It was within the last couple of years. That's not a long time ago, first of all. However, I spoke to one of the fellows who parked in front of my house because they were there a long time. Your son parked your truck directly across the end of my driveway and opened the hood and left it there while he loaded a vehicle for this man right in front of my house, and your dog came in my front yard at the same time.
Okay.
I went out and I spoke to the driver of the truck and I said, do you plan on being here long? And he says, no, I'm just here to buy a truck. I'm just here to buy a truck.
Okay.
Which your son put on the back of his trailer. And I asked the man, could you just move forward? Because you're right on top of the fire hydrant. And he goes, oh, I didn't even know. He said, I don't even know how this guy gets away with this. That's what he said to me. It was an older man driving a semi with a flatbed truck, getting a car, a vehicle, a truck, while your vehicle was parked across my driveway, and he waited out there. Then your dog came, I saw your son, Jaden, and I said, could you take your dog home? End of story. That was the end of that story. How many times? Once is enough. If I had to do this 5 or 6 times, go out and tell people, I called the township.
No, I agree, and I don't want that. I don't want that, but
I just called the township
this is the
because
first
I
time.
got tired.
Oh,
of it.
This
oh,
is the first time
but
that this has been brought
only
up.
one person can talk at a time, and Mr. Miller, it's questions for Ms. Walker.
Correct.
Okay,
So I answered that question.
Right, and you, so
Yes,
numerous
yes.
times since then, your driveway has been blocked.
Numerous times.
On more than
since
one
then.
occasion, your driveway has been blocked.
Yes. In fact, another incident was separate from the trucks, and it was not your son, but that vehicle might be now being used by you guys. There's a dark, smaller vehicle, a little bit of a lowrider, might be a Toyota, I'm not positive, but very dark, darkened out windows, parked at the end of my driveway. End of it. A young lady dressed pretty I don't even, it's like, I don't want to go there. She was dressed inappropriately, in my opinion. Got out of that vehicle and walked to your house, then came back, got in that car right at the end of my driveway with the young man sitting back like this, and she's going, what do you think that might have looked like?
I have no idea.
That was a little bit iffy at the end of my street. It went to your home besides the other stuff.
But we
That's-
don't, but
that's-
we don't know if this was
that's-
Jaden
that's
or,
happened.
we don't know if this was Jaden.
No, I don't know that that was Jaden, but it was parked at the end of.
I
my
get that,
driveway,
but at that
right
point, it
to
could've
your-
I'm
been
sorry.
somebody that-
Wait,
It was
wait,
at
one
the
second.
end of my
Ms.
driveway
Walker, when I
going to
talk,
your home.
Ms. Walker, when I talk, all the rest of the talking stops. That's number one. Number two, I've cautioned you both before that only one of you can speak at a time, because if Marianne needs to do a transcript, she cannot pull apart the voices. Number three, these citations are about dismantled vehicles, parking on the front lawn, and unlicensed vehicles, and a woman dressed inappropriately or provocatively and in a vehicle with someone other than Mr. Miller, who these citations were written against, are a little bit beyond the scope of why we're here this morning. That being the case, Mr. Miller, did you have another question for Ms. Walker?
No, Your Honor, I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect, Ms. Manarino?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, thank you for your testimony. You may step down.
Your Honor, people call Dawn Halstead.
Mr. Robinson, while we're waiting for Ms. Manarino's next witness, is there something I can help you with, or are you waiting for Ms. Manarino?
I think you have my.
Your Hannah matters? Hannah?
Yeah.
I've already written those pleas in. There's two $180 responsibles and two dismissals.
Correct, Judge.
If they're in the file, I wrote them in there. I've accepted those pleas.
Okay, great. And then there was a SINTH, S-I-N-T-H-X.
Same thing, set for formal hearing on August 31st.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
State your first and last name and spell them both for the record, please.
Dawn Halstead, DawnHalstead.
Ms. Halstead, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you much. Please come have a seat in this black chair that's closest to me. My secretary is recording your testimony. She's unable to hear you. I'll ask you to either raise your voice or get closer to that microphone, okay? Thank you.
Ms. Halstead, are you familiar with the property at 7905 Mida Drive?
Yes,
How is it that you're familiar with that property?
I am the neighbor that lives next door.
And do you know the individual who resides at 7905 Mida Drive?
Yes,
Who is that?
Stephen Miller.
Do you see Mr. Miller present in the courtroom today?
Yes,
And can you identify where he's located?
where he's located?
Yes.
Right there behind you.
Okay, seated at the table?
Yep.
And Ms. Halstead, have there been occasions where you have contacted Van Buren Township about Mr. Miller's property?
Yes,
And when have you done so?
it's been several times for like almost 2 years.
So would there have been a complaint that you made in 2022?
Yes,
And have you made complaints in 2023?
yes.
And what types of issues have you made complaints about?
Well, number one, being blocked out of my driveway with trucks being on trailers, sitting and waiting and can't get in my driveway. The noise of diesel trucks loud all hours of the day, all hours of the night till way late until past dark. Music, they're always playing music and banging of, must be parts, metals. There's a, I think it's called a skidster that goes up and down the driveway. Must be moving stuff around. You can hear just a bunch of banging, constant, all day and all night.
So is some of the noise that you're hearing consistent with vehicle repair?
Yes,
How many vehicles have you seen at Mr. Miller's property?
just like currently that are there, there's probably 50 or better. He has them parked in the front and the back, and they're constantly going, coming and going. He brings them in on a trailer, some leave on a trailer. People come, Engine starts, ramming of engines because you're trying to fix something. You can hear the metal. You can hear banging. You can hear them screaming.
And you indicated this is happening all hours of the day and night.
Correct.
How many days in a week are you hearing this type of activity?
Monday through Friday. And usually we go camping, but we come back on Sunday and it's, as soon as we pull up, he's already doing something. My kids are home. It's every day.
The vehicles that you've seen on the property, can you describe the condition that you've seen the vehicles in?
Some vehicles come with no hoods, engines open, trailers with engines inside the trailers, engines sitting out on the front lawn, tires sitting out, vehicle parts in the lawn.
Have you taken any photographs or any videos of the vehicles that you've seen on Mr. Miller's property?
I have videos of them coming in and coming out, and then when he had vehicles parked on our property, which is a little part of the end.
And did you provide me with some of those videos and photographs that you had taken of the property?
I did, yes.
And do you recall when specifically you took some of these videos of the activity at Mr. Miller's property?
When?
Yes.
I mean, I have a camera that, I mean, they're just there. I mean, I took them a couple weeks ago. It's running. I mean,
Were there any that you took in May or June of this year?
yes.
I'm going to show maybe. Is this one of the videos that you took?
Yes,
And this is one of the vehicles that was leaving Mr. Miller's property?
yes.
There, on the videos, and I think you can see it on the screen, there are some titles on some of the videos. Did you identify these videos?
Yes,
So for example, this one says Bobcat 2. Is that's a name that you put on that video?
yeah.
And is that what is shown in the video? Is the
Yes.
Bobcat?
Mhm. They're skids or whatever. I don't know really the name of it, but it's like a bobcat or a little skidster.
And when you were testifying a moment ago about the skidster, is that the same thing that you've identified as the Bobcat in this video?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
And so it's this orange.
Yes,
piece of
orange,
machinery.
yes, right. I don't know the definite name, but
And it looks like on the one of the ends of the vehicle, there are some tires.
yes.
This vehicle on the video that we've queued up has a, it looks like a flatbed trailer attached to, is that correct?
That is correct,
And
yes.
this is one of the items that you've seen at Mr. Miller's property?
Yes,
Is this the type of trailer that would be used to bring vehicles in or out of the property as well?
yes.
Are you aware of Mr. Miller, anyone else in his immediate family operating a business out of that property?
His son is there and his son has it on a Facebook that he has a business.
And is this a screenshot that you sent me of
Yes.
the, of Mr. Miller's son's Facebook page?
Yes,
And it looks like the text says, and I don't know if the court can read it because it's kind of small. Is Jaden, do you know that to be Mr. Miller's son?
yes,
Are you able to see it now, Judge? I made it a little larger.
No, it's right here. Thank you.
Okay. And this was a post that he made after someone had purchased a vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes,
And the May 16th date, is that May 16th of 23 of this year?
I would say yes.
I have one more thing I want to show you. I just need to. Are there other Facebook posts that you have seen from Mr. Miller's son about vehicles for sale on the property?
Just what I sent you was that picture there, but I'm not friends with him, so that's what I seen.
Were there any other Facebook posts that you had sent me that you recall seeing?
I mean, I don't know if I sent it to you, but on Steve's Facebook, he was doing vehicles for sale and he had vehicles listed. But we were friends on Facebook and then we're not friends anymore. He defriended me. But he would post vehicles for sale.
And then you had provided me with a second set of videos just a week or two ago, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And I'm gonna play this one for you. Now, this driveway that's shown in the video, is that Mr. Miller's driveway that this vehicle is coming out of?
Yes,
And so what it's turning onto then is Mida Drive?
correct, yes.
And so it's towing some sort of van off of the property?
Right.
Now, in the video, how wide is your street? It looks in the video like it's not much wider than this truck and trailer that's on the street. Is that accurate in terms of the depiction of the width of Mida Drive?
Of like where he's at right now, yeah.
Okay. So with where that vehicle's positioned currently, is there room for other traffic to get
No.
around it? Have you seen where specifically on Mr. Miller's property the vehicles are parked?
Have I seen?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, and what location on the property are they parked at?
front yard. If I'm coming into my driveway, you can see in front of his house, he'd have vehicles, parts and everything. And then I guess you would call it where the drainage ditch and that is, he parks vehicles all in front of there.
So closer to Mida Drive.
Yes,
Any other locations?
there's behind and on the side and behind and on the side. I'm coming out of my driveway, the whole side of his property, there's vehicles all parked.
I guess, do you know at any given time this year, how many vehicles Mr. Miller has had on his property?
I mean, I think the one time I counted, there was at least 30 or 40 at least of that. But I'm sure there's more.
And do you remember approximately when it was that you counted those 30 or 40 vehicles?
My husband and I, we took a walk probably 4 or 5 weeks ago. And if we just walked down our property line and then you can see everything in the back and we were starting to trying to count. But then it just got so high and I don't even know if that counted the vehicles against the one row.
And so that time that you did the count, if it was 4 or 5 weeks ago, that would have been maybe late June, early July of this year?
Yes.
I have no further questions for Ms. Halsted.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, do you have any questions for Ms. Halsted?
You state that that truck blocked the road that nobody could pass to go both directions simultaneously.
Mhm.
In the picture where it was stopped, the truck was on an angle, was not straight to the road. At any given time, we have two vehicles that go back and forth on that road every day, correct?
Not when you're coming right out of the driveway. You can't barely even.
So at one point, a vehicle.
I'm sorry,
No.
were you done answering
I'm
your
sorry.
question? That's
No.
okay. Were you done answering the question?
My fault, Your Honor.
You're fine.
No, maybe down the road, but when you come out where that vehicle was right there, you would have to go onto the neighbor's property to come around to get up to my vehicle or to our driveway.
Understandable. So at some point during the travel down Mida Drive, if two vehicles are going opposite directions, one may have to stop and allow another vehicle to get to a spot on the road to pass due to the width constraints of our road.
That could be, yeah.
And nobody can control the timing at which those vehicles leave, correct?
No.
So it's fair to say that during the exit of my driveway, there is a brief time that the road is impassable both directions until the vehicle is on a certain spot of my drive, whether it's a truck, whether it's a trailer, or just a vehicle in general.
It depends what it is. I get blocked out of my driveway. You have a car and a trailer, and I'm coming home from work and I'm sitting there and cannot get in my driveway. How am I gonna get behind to get past when it's short coming over the ditch line? You have a truck and a trailer and you're unloading a vehicle, which blocks my total driveway of me coming up my driveway. So then I sit,
I'm asking the video that
yeah,
you gave to the court that you said you could not.
no, you can't get unless you're gonna go around and be on people's property.
Correct, at that spot. So we need to yield right away to allow both vehicles because Mida Drive is so narrow in spots. And if it's in the middle of the turn that I have to make to exit my driveway, there may be a delay that needs to happen for both vehicles to go their continued direction.
Yeah, but you're
It's not blatant,
usually,
it's not on purpose. It's what needs to happen for our road to get to and from our properties.
you would have to go around to people's property to get over. You can't put two vehicles on that road passing.
No further questions, John.
Thank you. Any redirect, Ms. Manarino?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Halsted, thank you for your testimony. You may step down.
Your Honor, our last witness is Ordinance Officer Dave Schuler.
Still morning. Good morning, sir. State your first and last name for the record. Spell them both, please.
Officer David Schuler, DAVID SCHULER.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please come have a seat in the black chair that's closest to me. Mary Ann is taking down your testimony. If for some reason she's unable to hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or or move yourself closer to the microphone. Ms. Manarino.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ordinance Officer Schuler, where are you employed?
Charter Township of Van Buren,
How long have you been so employed?
23 years.
What do you do there?
Ordinance officer.
Is the property located at 7905 Mida within your territory within the township that you're responsible for?
Yes.
Have you let me ask this. Have you inspected the property in response to complaints that you've received?
Yes.
And what was the nature of the complaints that you've received?
Blight, vehicles, dismantled vehicles, junk vehicles, inoperable vehicles scattered throughout the entire property, parking on the front lawn, blocking driveways, making the road impassable. all things of that nature.
And have you, when you've inspected the property, have you done anything, taken any photographs of the property?
Yes, on multiple occasions.
It's me, not. No? All right, let me just enlarge these. Officer Schuler, these photographs that I'm showing you, photographs that you took of Mr. Miller's property on Mida Drive.
Yes,
In Your Honor, I did attach these photographs as Exhibit B to the motion that we filed. Officer Schuler, do you recall when you took these photographs?
specifically, not exactly, because there's been several rounds of photos, but these ones look like they were late winter, early spring.
If the date on the file that you provided me is 4/27/22 photos, would that have been the date that you took those pictures?
Correct.
And let me ask you specifically about this photograph of Mr. Miller's property, where it looks like on the far left side, you can see a little bit of like an overhang there. Is that part of Mr. Miller's residence? Is that where his residence is located to the left?
Correct.
Okay,
This is looking up the driveway. And this is when you're facing it to the east of his house.
and so I think this photograph shows a little better where
Yes,
the house is. Okay, and so the vehicles that are parked on kind of the side of the driveway there, so it looks like a black truck, an orange, maybe that orange piece of machinery you saw earlier, a white truck, a silver truck, a red Ford something, and a boat and a camper. Is that portion of the yard the front or side yard of the property?
so the definition of the front yard is anything from the front two corners of the house forward to the road. No matter how your house is positioned, no matter where it sits, whether it's on a lake or anything, your front yard is the front corners forward. And the only exception for vehicles would be parked in a driveway.
And so it appears that none of these vehicles are parked in the driveway set, or maybe the black truck, I can't tell where the driveway goes.
In that photo, some are and some are a little past it.
Okay. And these boats and other cars that are depicted in this photograph that I'm showing you, where are those located relative to the residence? If you know.
So from that last photo where you saw the front of the house, those are to the left. And so the black truck on the left side of the photo, that one is definitely in the front yard. Same with the UTV to the right. And a couple of the boats and vehicles there are past the front corner of the house, and then the rest, like the red full-size like Suburban or something right there, yes, that one I believe would be in what's classified as the side yard.
Sorry.
Show you another set of photographs. Did you take these photographs as well?
Yes,
And if the date on the file that you gave me was 7905 Mida Photos 12-1-22, does that indicate that December 1st of 22 was when you took these photographs?
yes.
And Your Honor, these photographs were attached as Exhibit C to the motion that we filed in this matter. And so these photographs, again, depict the vehicles and boats and other items that were on Mr. Miller's property as of December 1st of 22.
Yes.
It looks like from the last set of photographs that we looked at from April, some of these pictures, like that red full-size truck, are vehicles that were present in the last set of photos, and some of the vehicles are different. Is that accurate?
Yes. On the zoomed in photos, I was trying to verify that the vehicles were unplated. That being part of the complaint.
And since you issued the violation to Mr. Miller in, I believe, February of this year, have you had occasion to inspect the property since then?
Yes,
And are these photographs that you have taken in 2023?
yes,
It looks like typed above this first photograph, it says 7905 MITA 03-01-2023. Did you add that text to the photographs?
yes,
And was March 1st the date that you took the photographs?
yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admission of this exhibit as Exhibit A. And I can provide a copy to the court. The court needs to mark it for its records. And these photographs show the vehicles and boats, trailers that were present on the property on March 1st of this year.
Yes.
Mr. Miller, do you have any objection to the court receiving what's been proposed as the prosecution's Exhibit A, the photos from March the 1st of this year?
All the photos that they provided you guys are accurate, or were accurate at the time of taking it, that is fine.
Okay, so plaintiff's proposed Exhibit A will be received.
Thank you, Your Honor. In this photograph that I'm showing Officer Schuler, it looks like there's a black Ford Escape. Do you see that vehicle?
Yes,
And there appears not to be a plate on that vehicle.
correct.
As well as the pickup truck and this blue something that's in this vehicle.
Yes, the gray pickup truck and blue utility truck both do not have license plates on.
Do you recall the last time that you were at Mr. Miller's property?
Yes,
The most recent one was that,
Tuesday.
as in 2 days ago, Tuesday?
Yes,
So July 25th?
correct.
And you took some additional photographs then?
Yes,
And these are the photographs that you took on July 25th?
yes,
And they accurately represent the condition of Mr. Miller's property at that time?
yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admission of Exhibit B as well.
Any objections, Mr. Miller?
Is this, is there be no picture?
No, there's these 3 pages, so there's 6 photographs totally. So that's all of it.
I'm sorry?
Yes, those, so that is fine.
Okay. The court will receive as Exhibit B the photos from July the 25th.
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Schuler, there, in this last photograph that's in Exhibit B, it appears to be a pickup truck. Do you see that?
Yes,
Was there anything about this pickup truck that, as an ordinance officer, caught your attention?
yes, that, number one, it's unlicensed. Number two, it appears to have been involved in a vehicle fire. And it's completely totaled out.
It appears to have some damage to the windows as well as the,
Yeah, there's no glass whatsoever, and the doors peeled open. Damage all around the entire vehicle.
the hood that's up. Is that for this truck, if you can tell?
Yes,
That's a lot.
Is that the hood of this truck that's up? And again, it appears there's a number of vehicles parked in this location. And is this the side or the front yard of Mr. Miller's property?
that is the same area as in previous exhibits. That is to the left of his house, the structure.
It looks like in this picture, there's some kind of trailer in the foreground here.
Yes.
All right, I have nothing further for ordinance officer Schuler.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, do you have questions for Officer Schuler?
Good morning.
To my understanding, the end of Minor Drive is a cul-de-sac. Can you confirm or?
I cannot, I have not seen any county layouts and descriptions of that.
So thus, if the end of the road is a cul-de-sac and a turnaround, is that still deemed my front yard if something is in there?
In an actual cul-de-sac, the road portion,
Correct.
owned by the county, it would
Well, it's a
not.
private drive, so is that owned by the county at that point?
If it's a private drive, then it is owned by the property owners there, correct?
So then that would make it my front yard. If that is in off the corners of the house, is that still deemed front yard?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to understand my property.
Mhm.
I don't have those newest pictures.
Do you want me to have Ms. Manarino put back up the pictures from July the 25th?
No, I have the older ones and then the newer ones are the ones that aren't in the exhibit that I got in the mail that I was unaware of.
In the motion?
Correct.
Okay.
This isn't a very good picture, but can I ask for explanation of the property?
That'd be up to Judge.
Can I ask him for an explanation of the side and the front versus my picture of what he's deeming the side of my, where the things are parked?
Do you have any objection, Ms. Manarino?
No, if, I haven't seen the picture, but if, yeah, if he can, I mean, I was just wondering before.
Yeah,
if he
it's still,
can,
I'm just trying to understand the true definition of where the front and side.
if he can tell from that picture.
My house is here. I know it's Larry Road. So I mean, this would be it, because you're saying the front yard forward, right?
No. Front corners of the house going this way and this way would be your front yard. Those two lines going forward, that's not anything also. So if your house sits here and this is your property, everything forward is classified as front yard.
Okay, so you're saying going east and west this way,
Correct,
this way forward is front yard.
correct.
Okay, and then the side yard would be to the back corner of the house?
The side of the house, correct.
I mean, is it indefinite?
No, it would just be from anything from the back corners back.
So here to here,
That would be your side yard, correct?
here to here. It's a
Well,
side.
no, because you drew over your neighbor's
Oh,
house,
well,
but to the
yeah,
property
sorry.
line, to the property line.
Unless it's paved surface, correct?
Correct.
It's
The
a
definition,
driveway.
the legal definition would be a prepared surface, which is anything such as asphalt, concrete, or brick pavers.
Okay. Is it? Do I need to use your computer? How do I show you the pictures?
Ms. Manarino, did you leave the cord on the podium?
Yeah, it's up there.
Okay,
Or I can hold them up.
but the pictures that are attached to the motion that you have, Mr. Miller, are the same one that the court has.
Yes.
Those are from 2022.
Yes.
If you want to use the March 2023 or the July 2023, I will have Ms. Manarino connect her cable. She can show, is your laptop up on this podium?
No, but I can, if Mr. Miller wants to give me the cord, I can plug it in. from
Okay.
here and put 'em off.
If you want to do it from there, I'll switch
Well-
it so that all displays are,
We'll see if it's needed. I don't know that it's needed this time. This photo that we took,
Yes,
and you're stating that these are parked in my side yard,
some of them, not all of them.
but this is all hard surface.
If it is a prepared surface, then it is fine and classified as a driveway.
Everything over there, that's all hard concrete and or asphalt.
was that a question, sir?
Thank you.
I said, was that a question about the surface?
It was a question that he was stated previously that some of these were not parked in my driveway. Unaware to him that that surface is a hard surface. So I'm stating that this, that they're claiming is also parked on the side of my yard is not accurate, but those are on hard surface in my driveway on the side of my house.
My statement to you was that your question to him? Are you aware that this is a
Okay,
hard
yes, That
surface?
was the question.
Okay.
Are you aware? And he said,
I was not aware that everything past that first row was a prepared surface.
correct. So the driveway that goes down along the Pine Tree Road, at the barrier between mine and Mr. Halstead's house, all the way to the back corner of my house is hard surface.
Okay.
Objection form.
Objection, I'm sorry.
Form. It's testimony as opposed to a question.
Mr. Miller, I understand your
Okay.
statements. You'll get a chance to testify, but if
That's
you
fine.
have questions for Officer Schuler,
Is there a stipulation of parking in the front yard that it's not permitted at any time for any length of any duration?
The ordinance, I believe, almost a complete quote is in no event shall any such trailer or vehicle be parked in the front or side street yard area of any such residential premises.
Under any circumstances?
It says in no event.
During your visits to my house, did you notice the same infractions of any of my neighbors?
No.
Did you not previously state that they were warned to comply with infractions? Were they not issued a warning that they corrected, that they were in violation of the ordinances?
Objection, relevance one, I don't know what violations he's asking about. Two, I don't know whether other neighbors have violations to mitigate his.
It was deemed they were the same violations for parking in the front yard and or debris blight in their front yard. The same infractions I was singled out solely written for were taking place next door that you have to see because you have to turn around facing those violations.
So-
But they weren't. I'm asking, did he see them or not?
your question to him was, did you see my neighbors with the same violations? And then
Correct.
he'll respond. And then your question is, did they receive warnings or were they pursued to the same extent that you're being pursued?
Correct.
Okay. Any response?
Your Honor, I don't, I mean, as I said, I don't think that that's necessarily relevant. I guess if Mr. Miller's making some type of argument that he's the only person in the township who's received tickets, then, potentially.
I don't think that was the questioning. The questioning was more so if these same or similar situations exist on Maida Drive for other residents, and he's asking Officer Schuler, or they issue warnings versus Mr. Miller being subject to a different level of prosecution? Is that what you're asking? Is that where you're trying
I'm
to?
asking because I was the only one that was called upon. Is my infractions the only one that are the only infractions? Their infractions don't apply because I didn't make the complaint. Whether he sees them or not is not on him to cite them unless I complain.
Mr. Miller, the court will agree with Ms. Manarino to a certain extent. If someone else receives an actual citation versus a warning is not particularly relevant to this case, unless you're saying, it will be your testimony that these situations are identical. If that makes sense to you. Are you saying that there's someone else who's alleged to have had unregistered vehicles parking on the front lawn and dismantled vehicles and all they received was a warning?
My neighbor has parking on his front yard and I'm not aware of anything that has been issued to them for the same infraction.
Okay, then I will sustain the objection because you not being aware of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it is not really particularly relevant to this case. I'm with you though.
That's all I have, right?
Thank you. Ms. Manarino, any redirect?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. You may step down. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Manarino?
Your Honor, that people would call Stephen Miller.
Mr. Miller, we'll stop right here for the oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Miller, are you familiar with the company Miller's Motors LLC?
Yes.
And what is your relationship to that company?
As in, Who owns the company?
What do you have to do with the company, if anything?
I have nothing to do with that company.
Okay, and your son is Jaden Miller,
My son is Jason.
and he operates that business out of your residence?
He is the owner of that
Thank
company.
And it operates out of 7905 Mida Drive?
That is where the mailing address is.
And he operates a business out of that residence,
No.
out of that property?
No.
So the vehicles that you have that we've seen coming in and out of your property, we've heard extensive testimony about today, being trailered in and out of your property, have nothing to do with Jaden's business that is registered to your address?
Not at this time of the infraction.
At what time did Jaden's business operate out of your property?
It hasn't. This business was just formed and hasn't done anything yet.
When you say just formed, what do you mean?
Applied to the state and got a business license.
But when you say just, what does that mean?
I don't know when he opened the business.
So if the records from the state of Michigan indicate that you organized in Michigan on December 6th of 2022, is that what you mean by just?
Yeah, yes, that's, didn't know when it was.
And your son has a Facebook page that he maintains,
I would assume.
and he makes posts to Facebook about vehicle repairs and things that are sold from the property?
Unaware.
You've never seen his Facebook page?
I don't use this Facebook page.
You've never seen your son's
I
Facebook
have
page?
seen it, but I don't regularly look at it.
Mr. Hadi, you're free to go, sir. Have a good day.
Does your son live with you?
Yes,
How long has he lived with you?
$2 years,
So since 2021?
I think so.
Was there a time prior to 2021 that he lived with you?
I mean, I had joint custody of my son, so I don't know if he courts records, he lived with his mom, but
Was there a time that he ever stayed regularly with you?
I had my parenting time and he stayed. a
And
few
when
days a
was
week-
that?
A few days a week for his entire life,
Okay, and how old is Jaden?
21.
Okay, so since 2002, he's regularly stayed with you.
Since 2002, pardon me?
So since 2002, he's regularly stayed with you at various times, subject to whatever
he's-
parenting.
Correct.
Okay. So in 2019, was he residing with you?
That's the second time, sir. You might need to step outside.
So in 2019, was your son residing at some?
In some
interval with you?
fashion, yes, in some fashion, since 2002, he has resided with.
Okay. So in 2019, when he was selling vehicles or vehicle parts on Facebook, was he doing that from your residence?
No,
Where was he doing it from?
out of Milan,
I'm sorry?
out of Milan.
Okay. And so it's your testimony that he's never operated a business selling vehicles out of your property?
He has not sold the vehicles under his business.
Has he ever sold vehicles out of your property that,
We have sold vehicles from our property
okay, and when did that occur?
since 2019.
Okay, so some of the vehicles that we saw on the screen and that we've heard the neighbors have complained about are vehicles that you have sold from that property.
They have been bought and sold, yes.
I have nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, you can't really technically, well, I guess you could technically cross-examine yourself, but as a practical matter, you cannot. And if Ms. Manarino has no further witnesses,
That is correct, Your Honor.
I'll have you provide your testimony from where you're seated, and then if she has cross for you, she'll do it. But if you want to present your defense to the citations, or can you from there, or did you have another witness? I'm sorry.
I'm kind of lost in where my witness went.
Do you want your witness?
Um,
We can get Officer Brooks will step out in the hallway.
Can I have a minute to consult?
Absolutely. You want to step out?
I would like to.
Absolutely. Sir, how may I help you?
We had met with Prosecutor Romulus on a pre-hearing, which has come back, and obviously, of course, for a formal hearing, I was usually
F and L,
Yes, please.
August 31st, they'll mail the date out to you.
Thank you. ma'am.
You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. Why is Steve Robinson still here? Do you know?
Because I haven't spoken with him yet.
Oh,
We have that 43430 Farm LLC. We have that. this
which
morning.
always looks so nice. I'm glad that the reeds are tall enough that you can't see the stuff from the street. Yeah, I have all kinds of questions for you. Clearly, you got your internet service back. I said, clearly, you've gotten your internet service back. Or your phone. The last time you were with me, something was going on with your technical stuff at home.
Did I tell you what the problem was?
No.
Long story short, cable and internet wires are coated with peanut oil. Squirrels eat the wires. This has happened to me 3 times already. So the squirrels come out and they eat through the.
And you lose your service.
Yeah.
That's the most creative story I've ever heard for an attorney being late or unavailable for a hearing.
That is the 2023, my dog ate my homework.
Yes.
The squirrels got me.
But the court, and Your Honor, know that I am not technically sophisticated on this stuff, so I'm.
You
just
don't
like-
say.
That's like saying I'm vertically challenged, but okay.
But you told me, what did you tell me? Go to Starbucks or something?
I did. I told him to go get a hotspot. It's 2023.
Yeah, but I had to leave my rules.
Just leave the front door unlocked with a note saying,
And then they said, of course, the tech guy, when you call it in, we'll be there in 4 days. See, it's not that.
Yeah, when they
For
get
me,
to
I-
it.
I don't care because I have a TV that doesn't have cable. It's just, got one of those antenna things. But my son and my wife, got a 22-year-old.
oh, heaven forbid they're without technology.
The sky is falling.
That's who waits for the tech then, the person who,
I'm de-empty nesting
Yeah.
now.
you're home for the summer?
No.
Home?
Home.
See, the second they go away is when you convert the room to a den or a trophy room or something, so there's no place to sleep.
I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick while this Miller.
That's way more than I needed to hear, but thank you for sharing. Courtroom 1, never a dull moment. I do. Miss Janik? This is 23R008113ON. The court has received from the prosecutor a signed plea form indicating that you'll plead responsible and pay a fine of $180. Understanding that you cannot rent the property until it's registered as a rental.
Yes,
Do you need more than 5 days to pay the 180?
no, I'll pay it today.
I'll make the notation in the file. If you want to stop downstairs, I'll send the file down momentarily.
Yeah, I'll take care of it today.
Thank you. Have a good day. Yes, you are. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, sir. What are you here for? Yes, sir.
The prosecutor came, told me to come in here, and the assistant said you have a file 02/18.
Mr. Toomey, you've entered pleas in this matter. You signed the form with Mr. Greco, the prosecutor. You spoke to Mr. Greco, the prosecutor. And sir, you agreed that you're responsible for $180 for a technical violation of protective treatments and that the other two would be dismissed? You would be pleading responsible to count A, and then B and C would be dismissed? That's what you signed a form that's what you were agreeing to.
Yeah.
The courts adopted that. Do you need more than 5 days to pay?
What was it? I just told that, just go pay.
Are you going to pay it today? You have some other matters outstanding? Some prior on-camp premises?
I don't know what's outstanding and what's not, like, you don't pay the conflicting stuff.
As for the matters that were scheduled this morning, there was a plea of responsible and a fine of $180, and the other two were dismissed. You have some other outstanding matters where you owe the court money?
No.
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Unless you paid them in the last 3 days.
Okay, what are they? I don't know what they are.
The file will be downstairs. There are some cases from 2019, 2020, and 2022 for on-camp premises. You were previously assessed. What happens, Mr. Toomey, is that when they prepare the docket, if you owe any money to the court, they attach this white sheet to the front. So when I got the files 3 days ago, I go through all that's scheduled with me, and then I tell people, just as a reminder, that you have these other matters.
I talked to Captain, I don't know what he is now, Captain Shelby about that. And they were supposedly all, the sheriff officer said those are all dismissed, or he said he'd take care of that.
Your file from today is going downstairs. You can talk to the clerks down there because I only have the cases that are scheduled for today. The 19, 20, and the 22 aren't scheduled, just the 23. And the 23 we resolved. Well, you resolved with Mr. Greco, and that the court accepts the resolution of that case.
His name is Mr. Greco?
Mr. Greco, the man that you spoke to this morning with the
Yes, I
beard?
know, I just couldn't recall his name.
Yes, Greco.
So I go down, what do I do now?
You go downstairs to pay the 180. And if you want someone to look at these cases from 19, there's a single from 20 and a single one from 22. They can look at that. I just don't have the file. You're telling me that I think he's Deputy Chief Shelby now. Is he? Am I giving him a promotion? I think that's what he is.
Okay, do I take anything down there?
He's gonna walk the file down. I can't give it to you, but Mr. Officer Brooks will take the file downstairs. Here's the real question for Officer Schuler. I thought Carol was disposing the files. That's what who just said. Oh. So someone who's ready to pay can't pay today? Okay. No, absolutely not. That's fine. We'll take that as an answer. Or maybe Heather's available if we're not doing a whole lot of extra. Or you can let him leave and tell him that he can make arrangements. I don't know how to.
Okay.
Thank you. Hmm?
Well, he hasn't on
I
it.
think I'm writing alternately July 26th and July 27th. I don't.
The file. Yes. So we can adjourn, well. So. I don't know how we're. No.
A squirrel ate his wires and his power's off.
Chip was in charge, and so do you want to? I don't think so. I think it was just, no, it was just me and you when you're done, Chip. Want to put it out, I mean, let me ask you this. Because we do these on the last Thursday. So do you think if we put it out to September, if we go out there next week, and then we put it up again in September? For real this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every person in
Is waiting for me.
Yes.
I would help them, but I'm busy.
No, I know.
So as soon as Mr. Miller's ready.
He's out there yelling at witness. Witness figure. He's probably-
They're not her vehicles.
I think it's like,
No.
no.
So.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my.
Here's on the. At least do that, and then I can't do anything else.
Shoot. But Tim was gone.
We'd like to adjourn.
They already know or something.
The court's ready.
Oh.
Okay.
23VB00545 ABC, 23VB00546 ABC, 23VB00547 ON. These are all Van Buren Township versus 43430 Farm. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Angela Manarino on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, Steve Robinson, and on behalf of the family.
Thank you. These matters are all scheduled for formal hearing this morning. The parties have had the opportunity to speak. Mr. Robinson, how are we proceeding this morning?
Your Honor, I've had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Manarino. We're going to request an adjournment on this. We're going to meet at the property, and essentially do a punch list, for lack of a better term. Nail down the issues in the hopes of getting on these resolved.
And Your Honor, we could adjourn to the September 28th docket, please. Are you not available? Well, I'm not, see, I made my plans, but I don't.
Did you say September 28th?
I'm not sure, Judge. Mr. Robinson may have a conflict.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Seattle, Jeff. Let's keep it for that date, though.
And
just to-
hopefully
just-
we'll resolve in the
Yes.
interim.
Mary Ann will confirm a time and put the notice out in the mail to you for an adjournment to September 28th with the indication that the parties will meet at the property to prepare a punch list for the items to be addressed by the LLC. Was there anything else, Ms. Manarino?
No, Your Honor, that's it.
Anything else, Mr. Robinson?
No, Judge, thank you.
Have a good day, sir.
Thank you.
Perfect. That's fine. Corporal Kozowski, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Judge.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I am wonderful. I just received a phone call from the formal hearing, the 11:30 formal hearing that they are running, I believe, 15 minutes late. So if you need to go dark, until about 11:45, I understand.
Okay,
So you don't
I
have to
can-
sit here. You can go do what else you need to do.
okay, I can return. Honestly, I'm not that good at Zoom. I'm glad I'm able to get here. So going dark or going mute, are you able to do it on your end until I'm ready?
I will mute you, Corporal Kozowski, not a problem. Good morning.
Do you happen to have, we had two folders this morning that had the tickets for Huron and Van Buren for those Zoom. Do you happen to have those?
You're welcome.
And then I just had a quick question for you. The ones that Angela had to set for informal, did you want those to be set for informal or did you want them to be set?
They're not my tickets, so if that's what the prosecutor's indicating, they will be.
I
for
just wanted to
informants.
confirm that. I don't, no, I, in the docket, and they had talked about formal, so I just wanted to make sure before I scheduled.
I know, but they decided to go a different way and I'm not sure why. Thank you, though.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good morning. Your name, please? Mr. Cochran, I've received a notation signed by both yourself and the prosecutor, Mr. Greco, to set these matters for formal hearing on the August 31st docket. Is that how you wish to proceed?
Yes.
We'll be setting them on that docket. Notice will be mailed to you at the address we have on the file, okay? You're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What's the time in between each one?
I have no idea. I don't. 15 minutes? I don't imagine it'll take longer than that. And that'll give us some time. Thank you. Why is it? Okay. No one expected. No one expected what? Oh. Thank you. Is she out there doing other cases?
I don't think so. I don't know what Angela's doing. I meant the other guy.
If
Prepping his witness.
Ms. Manarino is working on other matters, I'm fine. I mean, we're here. Thank you.
All right.
They come back and don't let them do that, just left my water and I didn't have minutes. Are you coming in?
I was. Just-
Give me 2 minutes.
Mr. Cox.
He did. Mr.
Cox, C-O-T-K.
Oh, no, not that I'm aware of.
I'm Zoom, right? Yes, I did.
Yeah, he was, yeah. Oh, he's the one who's on the 15 minutes.
Oh, Mr. Cox.
Yeah, have it just be. How's it going? The one person,
And they told me this morning that it was going to be a show, I need to adjourn. So, but I'm having problems. I'm shaving, I'm ready to run this. I'm ready to go and just get in the bug, just work my. I talked to my person, and that poor guy had to drag it in the office.
oh, jeez.
I told him, I said, well, you actually did nothing.
Let's visit.
He's on the television. Hey, did you know? Take off.
Should have been 2 seconds. Yeah. Nobody signed my sheet and there's people.
Well, that makes you feel
It's all- it's so lonely. But you know what?
You're so lonely, you heard him say it, let's put it on the record.
Oh. The
Oh
Cassini
my
stand.
gosh.
It's not blind until it reaches the Cassini stand.
Well, is she still in it?
Yeah, she-
Mr. Bowditch.
No one has wished to talk to me.
Really?
I've talked to one person, that poor guy had to drag into my office. So I think I may leave, Judge. There's people milling about out there, but they've been out there all afternoon.
And
all
they're,
morning.
they might just be the civil infraction people.
I don't know. but
Because
no
we
one-
didn't have that many.
No one is, but they prepared me for an ugly document. And it didn't
You
happen.
haven't seen it.
It didn't happen.
Okay.
And I left my house. Do you have power?
Yes,
Oh, I don't.
I know, I didn't.
She says, if you don't mind, she'll try to get these people done.
Okay, that's
and then
fine.
She'll bring everybody back in.
Okay.
On time.
That's fine.
Because he's still out there.
Talking to, yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna take off, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
For nothing.
Part of the job is just to be responsible, right?
Well, but they were questioning something about reading the ordinance because I don't think it's been a problem. I mean, you might have been busy, but my DC wasn't.
We well, mostly that, so it was fine.
All right, thank you.
I'll see you.
I'm taking off.
Good seeing you. We're talking. This is my first time being in this court.
Is it really?
I've been on Zoom. I was so happy though, because Angela called me, I had a case, I was on vacation in Florida. I can do Zoom from Florida. So I got me one of those Hawaiian shirts when I was in Florida. I found me a little umbrella slushy. And I found a pen, and I'm sitting under it, and then I open up my email from Angela, it says, "Work concern." No, you can't do that to me.
Mr. Greco, were you ready with something? You know Corporal Kozowski is on.
Yes.
Okay.
He's ready. We just like when he comes in the door, I'm ready to-
Okay. Well, I told him that the defendant was running late and if he had other things he needed to do.
We're good, Chris. We're still waiting.
right over
Oh,
the,
yeah. Right, okay. Got it.
is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
The
Well, I didn't-
podium
no.
rotates if you want to, and you can face that way. That's up to you.
Okay, no, that's, I just wanted to say hello to you, officer, but we'll be fine.
Let's see the people on the dismissal or
Mm-mm.
just send them
If
on
they
their
want
way.
to see me, great. Otherwise, I'm just writing in the file. They're free to go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Um. Good morning. What are you here for? Did you meet with the prosecutor? Okay. What time were you scheduled? 11. Bell Eco. Did you reach an agreement with Ms. Manarino? Is it Bell Eco? Did you reach an agreement with the prosecutor? Thank you. You may have a seat. She'll be in shortly.
Hi, Judge, how are you?
I'm good, officer. How are you?
I thought that that's what he had done before. I thought he'd come up here and done that.
Maybe do two things at the same time. Nothing is making sense. So you were only with this whole, but you need to hear. Yeah. Because it was. I don't know what you're supposed to do. This case you have to. Balance out. Here's an hour. Are you serious? I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Do you have forms or do you have something for like, I'm looking in here, I see Buckner and Downs and Gibbons and that kind of stuff.
So those are ones that are the no shows.
Oh.
Those are, yeah, those are no shows. So.
Harold, A-L, A-L.
Oh, yeah.
If they showed up, you sent something in, I guess is a better way to ask.
Correct.
Okay.
So anyone who we haven't dealt with are no shows. Like I'm all done, everybody's. Yeah.
No, if you, any forms that came in, I updated the files, and if the person came in, I indicated to them that we accepted it.
That's our.
That's
our
your.
phone. That's what we.
Cameron Coastal.
She gets used no show.
Yeah, no, Carmen. Let's just call for me. I have you up on Zoom. Thank you. Do things in my office. Yep. Okay.
So, yeah. Now we're in the middle of a trial.
So like I said, our stuff. Which is.
The no-show civil infractions are just defaulted.
Yeah.
And then there, so I just saw a straggler misdemeanor in here. Set it for show cause, but it's the last scheduled case.
were the formal hearings at 11. Johnny Johnson, 11.
Yeah, no show.
And then there's a Van Buren at 11:30. It's 11:45 by this court's clock, so anyone who's not here is deemed defaulted on the civil infraction docket. Okay.
Except for Todd,
Right.
So
Right,
we'll go look.
right.
We'll see.
Thanks.
We have a resolution.
Resolution of,
Mr. Cox.
these are all hers.
Not all them people are.
This is 23RP012730I, City of Romulus versus Christopher Cott. May I have your appearances, please?
Your Honor, David Greco here on behalf of the city of Romulus.
Your name, please, sir?
Christopher Cott.
Thank you. This matter was scheduled this morning for a formal hearing. Corporal Kozowski appears by Zoom. The court has been handed a stipulation of the parties, a plea agreement wherein the speeding citation will be dismissed. And Mr. Cott will plead responsible to double parking and pay a fine of $200. It's signed by Mr. Greco, the prosecuting attorney, and Mr. Cott. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You wish to plead responsible to double parking,
Yes, ma'am.
and you'll pay the fine of $200.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need more than 5 days to pay that amount?
Yes, ma'am.
How long do you need, sir?
Till next Friday is my payday.
That's 9-ish days, let's say 14 days to pay.
Yes, ma'am.
Reasonable?
Yes, ma'am.
You can pay it online or you can bring it to the court, mail it to the court, okay?
Excellent. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, ma'am.
That concludes this matter. You have a good day. Good luck to
You too.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Corporal Kozowski. You're free to go.
Lose me for the moment.
Thank you, sir.
All right, very good. Take care. Thank you.
Corporal Kozowski, I'm going to put you out, okay? That might be an easier way to help you exit. Okay. No, go ahead. I'm Absolutely. Thank you. There's 23R008112, A, B, and C, City of Romulus versus Krishna Arrow. Matter was scheduled at 10:50. It's 11:52 by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, default shall enter 23R008076 AB and 23RP009910M. These are all City of Romulus versus Diane Bruckner. They were scheduled at 10 o'clock. It's now 10:52 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, the civil infractions will be deemed in default. The misdemeanor matter will be set for show cause. This is 23RP02946ON, City of Romulus versus Mario Kamaj. The matter was scheduled for 8:50 a.m. It's now 11:53 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, the matter will be set for show cause. I'm sorry. It's a civil infraction. The matter will be deemed in default. These are 23RP008106 A and B. These are City of Romulus versus Andre Dixon. The matters were scheduled at 10:30. It's now 11:53 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, civil infractions will be deemed in default. These are 23RP008075 A and B. These are City of Romulus versus Jason Downs. These matters were scheduled at 9:50 a.m. It's now 11:54 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, these civil infractions will be deemed in default. These are 2-3-R-008-103 A and B, City of Romulus versus Morgan Gibbons. These cases were scheduled at 10:20 a.m. It's now 11:55 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, these civil infractions will be deemed in default. These are 2-3-R-008-115 A and B, City of Romulus versus John A. Johnson. These cases were scheduled at 11 a.m. It's now 11:56 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, these matters will be deemed in default. Thank you. These are 2-3-R-008-107 A and B, City of Romulus versus Sridhar Kaluva. The matters were scheduled at 10:30 a.m. It's now 11:58 a.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, these matters will be deemed in default. These are 2-3-R-008-074 A, B, and C, 2-3-R-008-073 A, B, and C. These are all City of Romulus versus Stanley Kozole, K-O-Z-O-L-E. The matters were scheduled at 9:50. It's now 11:59 by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, the matters will be deemed in default. This is 23R008092ON, City of Romulus versus Royal Lily. The matter was scheduled at 9:30. It's now 12:01 by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, the matter will be deemed in default. These are 23R008110 A, B, and C, City of Romulus versus Ayat Nazarian. The matters were scheduled at 10:40 a.m. It's now 12:02 p.m. by the court's clock. Defendant having failed to appear, the matters will be deemed in default. Good morning. How are you? Wonderful. What are you here for? I was so shocked to see you yesterday because I feel like it's been a long time. Why have you been hiding? You guys, you mean courtroom number one that is completely independent of any assignments on any levels? If there is a contract, no one in courtroom number one is aware of it or is involved in it. See, yeah, courtroom number one does not get involved in those types of things.
Yeah, so we get limited with the private bar, we get here.
I thought that was changing because yesterday, was that just yesterday? We had a lot of, yeah, we had a lot of other things on our docket. 23RP02394B, City of Romulus versus Kimberly Amato Rogers. This matter was scheduled at 9:30. Defendant having failed to appear, the matter will be set for a show cause. How are the little ones? I was like, why did you pause? What are you doing with them for the summer?
They go to a babysitter 3 days a week, and my husband, they go stay 2 days.
I see these summer programs and I see what they cost and I just shake my head sometimes. I don't know how people are supposed to. I hear that. I'm out of that loop. The youngest in our family is 15 tomorrow. Oh my gosh. And I was telling my husband that when I was in private school, so 45 years ago, tuition was $120 a week for 3 kids.
We're not talking about when we were old or young, because then we're gonna start playing the game of who's older than who.
I said when I was in elementary school, so you do the math on that.
You know what? I'm not gonna do the math on that, because I'm probably in the same ballpark. Like I said, when I start thinking about how long ago high school was, I start shivering.
Well, let's think. November will be 25 years of practice, so.
I got 2 on you.
Do you really?
I am now, as of this June, I've practiced half my lifetime.
That's scary.
It's all just,
Yeah,
But-
54 on June 3rd.
the time is
310
flying.
27 years. When I figured out that I've been practicing half my lifetime, I kind of had a hard time with this.
Within the last month, I started getting emails about my 30th college reunion, and the math is not mathing, not at all.
No, I know. I mean, because I'm at 32, so like I said, we're kind of on that same path.
These are
A lot of cases.
23VB01859 A, B, and C, 23VB01860 A, B, and C, 23VB01879 A, B, and C, 23VB01880 A, B, and C. These are all scheduled this morning at 10:20 for arraignment, pretrial, and/or pre-hearing. Your appearance, sir.
For the record, Seward Collins, P4953 on behalf of the defendant in this matter. I was about to say plaintiff. Tell you too much too much of work. I also have with me to my left, Leah Lashman.
State your name for me, ma'am.
Leah Lashbro.
Thank you. The court has received from the attorneys a signed stipulation/plea agreement wherein Ms. Lashbrook will plead no contest to dangerous dog misdemeanor and 2 animals at large. These will be the cases that end in 880C and 880A and B. The remaining matters will be dismissed. Mr. Collis, is that your understanding and agreement?
That is correct, Your Honor. So that would be 9 counts of the 12 gone.
Ms. Lashbrook, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in these matters will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. You had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Collis, and you understand the charges you face and the possible penalties.
Yes.
And after having that conversation, you authorized him to enter into a plea agreement with the prosecutor wherein you would plead no contest to the cases from 880A, B, and C. These are for citations issued on June the 7th, 2023.
Yes.
You understand the court accepts your pleas this morning in these matters. You will not have a trial of any kind.
Yes.
You will not have the opportunity to call witnesses on your own behalf or see and cross-examine witnesses put forth by the prosecutor.
Yes.
And ma'am, you're entering these pleas freely and voluntarily.
Yes.
You haven't been threatened in any way, promising anything to get you to plead no contest and responsible in the civil infractions.
Correct.
Ma'am, is it true that on June 7, 2023, I'm sorry, before I ask your question, anything, I'll disclose on the record, Mr. Collis is already aware of this. I am married to an elected official in Van Buren Township. I make that disclosure as Van Buren Township is the issuing agency. My husband is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the Public Safety Department. He doesn't know anything about your cases, doesn't know that they're scheduled today. Mr. Collis is aware of this. Are we okay to proceed with the plea, sir?
We'll waive any potential conflict.
Thank you. Ms. Lashbrook, is it true that on June 7, 2023 in Van Buren Township, you had an animal at large, that being a dog?
Yes.
Is it also true that on that day, the dog got loose and attacked another dog, causing injury to dogs and to dog owners?
Both of us. Correct.
Why are you shaking your head? No, don't say anything. I'm not really asking you a question. I just saw you shaking your head, sir.
There's a dispute as to a dog owner being attacked, but for the purpose of the ordinance, it's sufficient that a dog was attacked, so that's all we need.
Thank you. And ma'am, is it also true on June 7, 2023, the dog, you had an unlicensed domestic dog on the property?
Correct.
And as much as you're entering a no contest plea to the misdemeanor, dangerous dog misdemeanor, is it sufficient that on the citation, it indicates that there was a dangerous animal? You would stipulate, Mr. Collis, that that is in fact accurate?
Yes, I would, Your Honor. There's also a police report that I would stipulate to for purposes of the plea.
Thank you. Anything before fines and costs are imposed in these matters, sir?
Your Honor, my client has no real record. She has something from when she was 21 in terms of the drunk driving, but other than that, she's been a productive citizen. This is an unfortunate situation where dogs escape. They were unlicensed. The dogs no longer are even in the county.
They're elsewhere and will continue to remain elsewhere, so they're no longer in societal danger. I do understand that the township may be proceeding by filing a new case in terms of for the destruction of the animals, but we're going to work on that and hopefully resolve that, because I think it's a little overkill in the situation. But that being said, it is the township's prerogative to do what the township wishes to do. And my client, obviously, as I indicated before, is really a productive citizen and has no problems.
Thank you, Mr. Collis. As for the animal at large, the civil infraction, the A file, the court will impose fines and costs of $180. As for the unlicensed domestic animal in the B file, the court will impose fines and costs of $150.
And just so the record's clear, Your Honor, one of the indications on the plea form is that the alleged victims in this case, or now I guess victims in this case, would have 30 days to submit
Their request for restitution, correct. And then for the C file, which is the misdemeanor file, the court has accepted the no contest plea and will impose minimal fines and costs in this matter. It's a $100 fine, $100 in costs, $75 mandatory crime victims fee, $50 mandatory state costs, and $20 fund fee. That's $345 on the misdemeanor matter. And with the 2 civil infractions, that'll be a total of $675. Ma'am, do you need more than 5 days to pay those amounts? No, okay. If we get to be close to that 5 days and it does not look like you'll be able to pay it, you can go online to the court's website. There's a drop-down box, contact us, where you can submit a request for a payment plan, or you can call or come back to the court, talk to the collections department and set a payment plan, okay? Anything else, Mr. Collis?
No, just good to see you in person, Richard.
Good to see you. The other matters are dismissed as indicated on the plea form. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, sir.
You will, we will. Good to see you again. Don't
Good to
let me
see you.
happen.
What wouldn't you do?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Well, you've known me how long now?
It's been 20 years.
At least.
It's been since the front halls of 36, so
Oh, God.
I know.
You know, it's so good that they're still doing things on Zoom and most of course are doing so, but they moved their landlord tenant docket back in person again, so.
I saw that, and I'm still doing it on Zoom because I don't feel a need for somebody to drive a half hour, 45 minutes to be on the record with me for 90 seconds.
You know what? I wish that more judges had a common sense theory about it. It's nice to know when those of us who have practiced law understand that you don't need to come an hour drive, an hour and a half drive for a 5-minute schedule.
See, Officer Brooks, Mr. Collis and I are both from the 30,000 mile a year drivers, right?
At least, I think it's like 40 for me.
My last year in practice was over 30, so yeah, I understand.
But, you know, I'm starting to do it again, and I'm like, God. If I may approach an unrelated to, for showing you pictures.
Absolutely.
So I've taken to on my Facebook page to posting my dog pictures with for anthropomorphic.
Really?
So here we go. This is yesterday's.
Oh my gosh.
And then here's the day before.
That was us at the beginning of COVID. I took to calling them our co-workers because
Yeah.
my husband and I were both home, and it was, yeah.
Yeah, so I you know, here's one like last week or something.
How old?
She's 10 and a half. But she absolutely loves coming to the office because she meets clients and she gets fed by my staff and everyone, they all just loves it.
Well, they say, why don't you bring your dog? I said, first of all, my dog would bark for 20 minutes straight, and then she would sleep, and then she would whine. And so I said, no, I would not subject anybody to that.
And Jazzy's just she's got that lab, she's lab beagle mix. So she's got mostly lab in her.
So she's just kind of like lays around. Now her sister, who's now my mother's dog, she's nuts. She's nuts.
I wish. I think about it, I was like, yeah, by the time I load her into the car and get her upstairs, she'd be, yeah.
She just, you should see her. She is just so attached to me. She's like, she just wants to, be wherever I am, whatever I'm doing,
But that's a wonderful,
And she's a great dog. It's probably the best dog I've ever had.
really.
She's so adorable. Bark, the only time she really gets upset is when she sees a rabbit or a bird. That's it. But she loves all people. She just.
I'm sure it makes the workday go faster.
It definitely, I tell you, when you have those awful clients that, call or whatever you not, or you have the awful judge or do something, or, whatever, you just everything's awful.
I know. Take care, sir.
That's what I'll see you online soon. All right, folks, we handle it downstairs.
No, my secretary has to put the resolution in the file, so it'll be a day or so before it
Okay, so
gets
that's
in.
fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you, sir. I don't know what you're doing.
I want to put the first one that I have done.
What's for lunch?
No, I didn't think we did.
What do you, yes, ma'am. Because you heard something different? I know. I know. I know. I don't consider us friends if we've never shared a meal, not even a cup of coffee. Yeah, that's my barometer.
Well,
I know there was some other story, I'm sure. I'm okay with it. If that were true, you would have heard about it a different sort of way.
yeah.
Are you ready with Bell Echo?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yes.
This is 23VB014770N. This is Van Buren Township versus Bell Echo LLC. Come forward to this table here on your right. There's someone else's belongings there, but if you want to set your stuff down, you can set it over to the right side. Your appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Angela Manning on behalf of the people.
I'm sorry, Mary Ann. Your name, sir?
John Shakira?
Sir, you're the resident agent for Bell Echo.
Yes.
Today is the day and time scheduled for the formal hearing in this matter. Have you had an opportunity to speak to the prosecutor, Ms. Manarino?
Yes.
How are we proceeding this morning?
Your Honor, it's my understanding they wish to proceed with the hearing. Your Honor, given that I don't believe the resident agent is an attorney, is the court intending to go forward with the hearing without the company being represented by counsel?
No. Mr. Sajari?
Shakira.
Shajara, my apologies. Bell Echo LLC is a corporation registered with the state of Michigan, which requires you to be represented by an attorney in this matter. Do you have an attorney that you can have represent you in a hearing in this matter?
We don't.
How long do you need to retain an attorney, sir?
We believe we don't need it.
Sir, the only time that a person, individual such as yourself, are allowed to represent a corporation is in a small claims case where you have personal knowledge of the events alleged in the small claims affidavit. For this type of case, the civil infraction, you're required to be represented by an attorney. If I allow you to represent the interests of a corporation, I would be allowing you to engage in the unauthorized practice of law, which you may not do in the state of Michigan.
Your Honor, the corporation exists only for this vacant lot. This corporation has nothing else. So
But you would have incorporated for this vacant lot for a reason. There's a reason why you didn't, why it's not in your name as an individual, correct?
Correct, for limited liability reasons.
To protect yourself,
Correct.
should something go awry on the property,
Correct.
right? So that you're not personally responsible for it, correct?
That's correct.
Same thing with the civil infraction. The corporation has to be represented by an attorney because you've gone through the mechanics, you've gone through the steps to protect yourself personally. It goes both ways. The corporation has to be protected from anything happening, and they're responsible. The corporation is responsible for anything on the property. So the corporation Bell Echo is responsible for the off-street parking or responding to the allegation of being in violation of ordinances regarding off-street parking. That being said, we can do one of two things. We could adjourn the matter. Not one of two things. We can adjourn the matter for you to retain an attorney. Or you can remedy the situation, and I'm sure the prosecutor for the township would be satisfied. The ordinance department's greatest concern is that you comply, well, that the property is compliant with all local ordinances. It's more about being a good citizen, even if it's just a vacant lot, than penalizing you financially, if that makes sense.
Your Honor, is it possible for us to get an explanation what the ticket is even about? We don't even understand the ticket.
The citation that I received indicates off-street parking requirements violation thereof. Officer Schuler is here. Are you saying that no one's explained to you?
Your Honor, and I would indicate that the issue is vehicles, especially semi-trucks, like the one that was parked there on July 18th, parking in the vacant lot. That lot is vacant, it's not allowed to be used for parking.
So it's a private property that we own, and someone without our knowledge parked there. Officer Schuler asked us to do two things which we implemented. One, put private property, no parking. We did that. He asked us to hire a phone company in case someone parked there. We need to call. We did that. And we assumed that Officer Schuler would have called us when someone parked there, so we called the phone company.
Officer Schuler is not responsible to notify you that your property is being used in violation of local ordinance. We are not going to have a hearing on this matter. We will not have a hearing on this matter today. You can either, well, the court will adjourn the matter to August 31st. The court will adjourn the matter to the August 31st docket. Will adjourn, because this case is already scheduled for formal hearing. It will adjourn it to August 31st for formal hearing. My secretary will send notice to you. Between now and then, either retain an attorney to appear and represent Bell Echo LLC, or take whatever steps are necessary to make sure that no one parks on your property. That might be putting up signs that say unauthorized vehicles will be towed, and entering into a relationship with a towing company that they go by and check on the property. If you're not checking on it regularly and authorizing that company to tow vehicles from the property. If you really don't want people there, there's a way to keep people off. There's pylons that you could put up a chain across so that people can't pull on, or something to that effect. But that'll happen between now and August 31st. As indicated, my secretary will mail out a notice of a time for the hearing on August 31st. But if you've been in contact between now and then with Officer Schuler, and he's satisfied that you've done all that's required of you to make the property unattractive for people to park on, he will let the prosecutor know, and the matter might be resolved with a dismissal versus the need to have a formal hearing.
Just one question.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, what it's a commercial lot, what's the violation if once in a while someone parks there? It doesn't endanger anyone. Does it endanger the residents or anyone else? So I don't know what the law is. That you don't.
Do you have a copy of the citation? If you have a copy of the citation, you can get a copy of the ordinances. You can go on Muni Code. You can go on Van Buren Township's website and they have a link that you can figure out what the code is. You pull it up, you read it, and it'll tell you what you can have and what you cannot have, depending on how the lot is zoned and everything else like that. And if you have questions, I'm sure Officer Schuler, not in this courtroom, offline somewhere, either at Township Hall or on a number, his township number, can talk to you about the specifics. But you can't tell the court that it's just a vacant land and we're not doing anything. We can't control who parks there and then say, what's the harm if somebody parks there from time to time? You can't have it both ways. It's either you're compliant with the ordinances or you're not. There's no in between. If you're using it for commercial purposes, then you need to do whatever you need to do with the township so that it is properly graded, or I don't know what you need to do to make it so that you can use it as a parking lot or sell parking spaces or let semis rest or whatever it is that you're doing. You have to figure that out with the township. But for right now, we're not going to get into it anymore. I'm sure you have a way to get a hold of Officer Schuler or someone else from ordinance. You'll have the opportunity between now and August 31st to look at the ordinance to see specifically what they're saying. The township is saying that you're not doing properly. Either your attorney or dismissal by August 31st, okay? Thank you. Have a good day, thank you. Sir with the blue jacket. Your name, please?
It's under Signature Hospitality.
Signature Hospitality. This is 23VB019870N. People of the Charter Township of Van Buren versus Signature Hospitality. Your appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Angela Manning on behalf of the people.
From me, on behalf of
Spell your name for me, please, sir.
KHURRAM. Last name is BAIG.
And your relationship to Signature Hospitality? You're the owner. Same thing, you were in here when I called the prior case. This court does not allow individuals to represent themselves, to represent corporations. There is a agreement between the parties that this matter will be adjourned to August 31st, 2023. My secretary will send out notice to you with a specific time, but we will be adjourning this matter for you to retain and be represented by an attorney, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else this morning? Have a good day, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's scheduled for formal hearing. It says show cause, but it says the paperwork says show cause and formal.
Right.
We are back on the record in 23VB00543 A, B, and C. I have the parties' appearances noted in the file. Mr. Miller, let me apologize to you. This is our first time with an entirely live docket, and we're having a few pains of settling into getting people connected with the prosecutor and moving around. I know that you went to talk to your witness, and I did not anticipate that we would have that long of a break. That being said,
Apology noted and unneeded. It's understandable.
I don't like people to spend more time waiting for me than is absolutely necessary. I understand that people have other things to do. When we recessed, it was for you to speak to your witness. Will you be calling your witness? Okay. Come up to this podium. You can bring your stuff if you need to. It's fine. Okay. At the podium, your first and last name, please, and then spell them both for the record.
Jamie Mercer, JamieMercer.
Ms. Mercer, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you've given this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you much. You may come have a seat in the black chair that's closest to me. My secretary is recording your testimony. If for some reason she's unable to hear you, I might ask you to either keep your voice up or pull yourself closer to the microphone, okay? You're a witness, sir.
Ms. Mercer, can you tell me your current and past professions?
Currently, I'm a licensed massage therapist. Previously, I was a police officer for 10 years.
And where do you work at?
I worked for Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. I mostly policed Ypsilanti Township during that time period. I also worked for Raisin Township Police Department, and then I helped start the Village of Dundee's Police Department in 2010.
And then are you also currently involved in school districts?
I substitute teach for Clinton Community Schools in Lenawee County.
Can you tell us what you, or how often, or what is your relationship to me?
I am your girlfriend.
How long have we known each other?
Since 7th grade.
How long have we been dating?
Since last fall.
And how often are you at my residence on Mida Drive?
Several times a week, almost every weekend, at least one day for the weekend, kind of in and out throughout the week.
Is it just yourself?
No, I have 3 kids. So it is me and my 3 children.
Ages?
8, 12, and 16.
And during your time on Mida Drive, what do you witness that takes place at the residence, my residence?
You work a lot. As it pertains to this particular incident or this subject matter, I guess, I see a lot of teaching of your son and my kids when they're there, and me actually too, but primarily Jaden, your son, teaching him how just to do different things, work on cars and stuff to prepare him. It's almost like an apprenticeship, kind of. I homeschooled my children for many years, and it's like a homeschool, essentially.
So you've witnessed the hobby that him and I have together.
Yes.
And you've seen the nuisances that have been claimed by the neighbors in the township.
Yes.
Thus on my property and anywhere else along the way in the neighborhood on Mida Drive.
Are you asking if I've seen things on my drive? Yes.
Objection, relevance. We discussed this previously with the court, but whether or not there are potentially other violations on other properties is not relevant to whether Mr. Miller is responsible for these violations.
Your response to that objection, Mr. Miller?
My response is, if the other violations are on the street, that my same neighbors that are complaining about me aren't complaining about the same violations that they are passing to get home every single day, why is it just me? Are there other violations that are relevant and equal to me that they turn the blind eye to?
They being the neighbors or they being the township?
All the above.
Ms. Manarino?
I guess I don't know how this witness would know about what action the township did or did not take, or what complaints were or were not made by any neighbors. So I don't know that it's something that she would have personal knowledge of, but I still don't understand how any alleged potential violations are relevant to these violations.
And Mr. Miller, I think that we went down this path a little bit before with Officer Schuler, and the question to you was, or the question I think that you were trying to get to is that you were being unfairly singled out, I believe, for more strenuous prosecution where your neighbors or other people on Mida Drive with similar violations were issued warrants, but you were issued an actual citation, I think was your.
It was something along those lines, which prior to stepping in here, it was brought up to Officer Schuler and the prosecuting attorneys, and he said that he had seen it and then didn't say it here. But I'm asking for another opinion on those because he said that he hadn't seen it. And I'm asking for another opinion that yes, there are infractions.
Ms. Manarino, the court will overrule your objection and Mr. Miller allow you a little bit of leeway in soliciting that information, but not much. I want to get
And
to.
it'll be done after this
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, I have seen one particular neighbor parks in his front yard daily. Every time, oh, at least every time I drive by, there is a vehicle parked in the grass in his front yard. I have seen graduation parties where the visitors were parked in the front yard. I have seen the neighbor directly next to you, Mr. Halsted, that there is a huge wood pile in his front yard, which draws snakes, potential pests, animals that, could be an issue, nuisance animals, that sort of thing. And it's been there for months.
For as long as you've been coming to my residence regularly since
Yes.
last year.
Yes.
Have you heard? I think it's not going to pertain to these tickets. So in your knowledge and your past work experiences, did you ever deal with neighbor disputes, call outs?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance of this unless he's trying to have her certified as an expert witness on ordinance enforcement or something.
Is that your intention, Mr. Miller?
No.
Okay. Then court will sustain the objection and you will move on with your questioning, okay? Thank you, sir. Ms. Manarino.
Ms. Mercer, you indicated you've been in a relationship with Mr. Miller since late 2022, correct?
Correct.
Prior to this late 2022 time period, how often were you visiting Mr. Miller's property?
I didn't visit his property.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Mr. Miller?
Yes. I would like to remind that you have been to my property.
Question? She's standing up to object to you testifying or something along those lines. If you have a question for Ms.
Were you
Mercer.
not at my property to bring a truck prior to this?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
Where are you trying to get, Mr. Miller?
That she has been to my property prior to when we started dating, that she didn't bring up to answer correctly her question, where she could have witnessed what was on my property at that time, but if she doesn't remember, she's not gonna remember what's on my property, so I'll just stand down.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Mercer, you may step down. Thank you for your testimony. Any other witness besides yourself, Mr. Miller?
That's myself. All right,
You go sit down. Yes, ma'am.
no further witness.
Other than yourself?
Is that right in my testimony?
Yes. I'll have you give it from, and you're still under oath from before. I'll have you give it from the witness stand because Ms. Manarino will cross-examine you. Will likely cross-examine you.
So as stated, roughly 2019-ish or whatever during the COVID, when we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything. Work was hard to come by. My son is currently active military army. Between his commitment with military and school and whatnot, we started the hobby of working on vehicles as an apprenticeship, me handing off knowledge, working, learning, skilled trade, something to do to move forward as a hobby. 2019, 2020, there was nothing you could do, so we didn't leave home, and it was a busy time. There were vehicles coming and going and doing all the things that have stated. And as they stated, it has slowed down because it has been my plan to do away with all of that. And once he was established had his stuff there in light, started Miller's Motors, which this is all preparation, has a mailing address to mine, but we're not operating Miller's Motors. It is just preparation, getting his foundations, things that he needs to build to then move on and go start the company elsewhere, or prosper with the company and run the company elsewhere. But due to my job, my full-time career that I have with T-Mobile, they started a new position that has been not pleasant. I work way more than I intended to work, and it has taken away from the time on my hobbies to get these things rectified and out of my yard. I was unaware, I misinterpreted some of the ordinances of where the front yard lies because of my irregular shape on the property, that it went from my walls right to left per se, and then forward versus off the front of my house. Like looking out my front door was my interpretation of my front yard. So there I was in, or am in violation of having things off to the side, which is deemed my front yard, that can be rectified and moved to my backyard. What I have is not blight. It hasn't lowered property values. It hasn't brought in unwanted pests, rodents. It is not a safety concern. There aren't children. It isn't in normal public view. I'm an eighth of a mile from public road each way, other than it's a private drive. And unless you're really trying to see it, you don't see it. Numerous times that officers have been in my house, they have stated that they were unaware that I was even back there. Per the code, from my understanding, it says I'm allowed to have this hobby and partake and do what I do and have these things if it's within an enclosed building. But the other one also says that none of these codes should inflict financial hardship and or levy or change taxes. But if I have to build a structure on my property, it is going to affect my taxes or affect my property value directly, which in return is going to raise my taxes and produce revenue for the township, both through taxes and permitting and other stuff that that is obvious. For blight, as the law written, there was an amendment made that in the state of Michigan in 2021, after the code was written, that said it had to be based on a parcel by parcel evaluation by the government to that parcel, not as the broad law was written. So I'm asking for my circumstances. I don't feel that that applies to me. That I'm not in violation. The unregistered vehicles, if they're behind and not in my front yard or on the side, then they're not blight, unsafe. Children can access, drawing unwarranted guests, warrant or pest, that I am not in violation of blight.
Anything else, Mr. Miller?
Not at this time.
Ms. Manarino?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, if there's nothing else, you may step down and return to council table. Anything else, Ms. Manarino?
No, Your Honor, just closing.
Anything else, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor. Should the court find me responsible?
Not Mr. Miller, I mean, any other testimony or evidence?
One other thing that I would ask, among I have some of my father's vehicles that are tied up to the probate stuff that I can't do anything with as far as registering, plating, selling, or anything of those that nature with those vehicles until the probate is done.
How many vehicles are we talking about? 3. Anything else? You're closing, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the testimony and evidence in this matter is clear that on Mr. Miller's property at 7905 Mida Drive, he has a number of inoperable, unregistered and or dismantled vehicles on the property. We saw photos, there are photos attached to our motion that the vehicles that are on the property, there's extensive numbers, and they have been, based on the witness testimony, for some period of time. The court, as the court's aware, this is in violation of township ordinances. And as we set forth in our motion, there are a number of other tickets that Mr. Miller has previously pled responsible to for prior violations of the same nature. We are asking for the court to enter an order which would allow Mr. Miller some time to clean up and get the remaining vehicles from his property. And then if he doesn't remove any unregistered, dismantled and or inoperable vehicles from the property within 14 days, that the township would do so at his expense. As the testimony is set forth, this has been going on for an extended period of time. I understand that Mr. Miller claims that, this is a hobby and he should be permitted to do it at his residence. And the township doesn't dispute that, just within the bounds of what the township ordinances are.
Mr. Miller.
As stated, yes, it has been ongoing like 2019, so we're approaching that. The plan is to have it cease and go away within reason. Circumstances have drawn it out. As the code says, yes, I do have unregistered vehicles. They have been in the places that they shouldn't be, which can be rectified with, now that I have the explanation, to not park in my front yard. The unregistered and dismantled, again, I'm allowed to have that hobby within the realm of the code. But again, the code says that if it's inside the structure, sure, you can do it. But if I build the structure, you're going to raise my property value and my taxes, in which I can't financially justify doing that for this short-term hobby that is going to close. So if the court finds me responsible, I ask that I could get ample time in or waive the fees to rectify this matter and get it to closure if I am responsible. If I could get 30 days instead of the 14, it would be appreciated.
Anything else?
So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Manarino, anything else?
Your Honor, I would just point out for the record that we previously adjourned this matter for Mr. Miller's convenience so that he could work on removing those vehicles from the property. So it's not that we've been, inflexible. We have permitted him some additional time to do so before the hearing today.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, the court has had the opportunity to hear the testimony from other residents on Mida Drive, from Officer Schuler, from Ms. Mercer, and from yourself. And the court will find you responsible for the violations of the technical requirement of having dismantled vehicles on the property, responsible for parking on the front lawn, and responsible for having unlicensed vehicles on the property. As Ms. Manarino requested earlier, the court will allow you 14 days to rectify these issues. I heard the request for 30 days, but this court signed the order of show cause on February 22nd, 2023, which directed you at that time to clear the premises of these issues as they existed. The fact that there have been citations as far back as 2019 with some of these same issues makes the court concerned that whether it's 14 days or 30 days, that this issue may continue to exist. The court takes into consideration that there are vehicles on the property. You indicated a small number of vehicles that are subject to a probate matter. And if that is in fact the case, I am sure that we are able to specifically identify what those vehicles are, and they would be those vehicles would still need to not be in a place on the property that is not compliant with township ordinance, number one. Number two, even if the vehicles are part of a probate matter, they still need to be registered, titled, all the other things that vehicles are normally required to have appropriately and in place. That being the case, the court will impose the standard fines and costs for the dismantled vehicles, $180, for the parking on the front lawn, $150, and for the unlicensed vehicles, $180. Mr. Miller, the court takes seriously your concerns and inference that there are other people who have the exact same situations you do, but are not pursued. And I believe that the testimony in response was there had not been a complaint or a more formal and specific complaint. If that's something you want to take up, that's something you can do with the township. But for this court's purposes, this court can only consider what existed at your property at the time the citations were issued back on February 6, 2023, and the issues that continue to persist as recently as 2 days ago per the photos that were received in the evidence. That being the case, that concludes these matters. The only remaining issue, sir, is do you need more than 5 days to pay the fines and costs that have been assessed?
Will be-
Your math is fast and your math is good. I think you're correct, sir.
I can take care of it.
Won't be today because Mary Ann needs to put the resolution into the file, but I would say maybe tomorrow, Monday at the latest.
So the 5 days, I know. Okay.
Thank you. That concludes this matter. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ms. Manarino, you had some other matters that had not been adjudicated, those or court had not received information about Presley, Shaja, Sullivan, and Toe.
So Toe, we set for.
TOE.
informal. Yes, we set that for informal. He was on Zoom this morning. Sullivan,
Informal?
yes, sorry.
There was some confusion with court staff. They thought that once matters were on this docket, they would be formal hearings, but no, that's fine, except for informal hearing.
Yeah, because those were the he was one of the traffic tickets that was on for this morning, so. Sullivan was represented by counsel. We dismissed the no proof of insurance and amended the other violation to double parking.
Did you send in?
I didn't do a free form. I told Carol, and she was gonna dispo it on her end. Because his
No.
attorney was on Zoom as well.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't
I just want them,
sure how to handle.
if Carol. Some of the cases were scheduled early and court staff was on the pre-hearings.
Right.
And or anything that was resolved, the court did not actually start until 9:30, the in courtroom matters.
Yeah, I think those were all started.
Shaja.
That is the one.
Oh, Steve Robinson.
Yeah, so we're gonna be submitting an order on that one. I think that will resolve it. I just don't have the order back from council yet.
Anything else?
No, the other one you meant, I thought there was another one you mentioned, but it was.
Presley.
Never showed up.
Thank you.
So I didn't take care of that one.
That concludes this court's docket for the day. This court stands adjourned.